Melbourne has a problem. In the last 5 years, youth knife crime has exploded across the city. Over 20 people are dead. Hospital admissions for stab wounds have doubled. Police are seizing 40 knives a day off the streets. Machete brawls in shopping centres. 12-year-olds murdered waiting for their mums. Teenagers filming themselves with weapons, keeping score of their attacks online like it's a game. This is the story of how Melbourne's suburbs became battlegrounds and what's being done to stop it. September 28th, 2025, Cobblebank, near Melton in Melbourne's west. 12-year-old Chol Ak had just finished basketball practice, waiting for his mother with his friend, 15-year-old Chol Ak. Chol was described as an intelligent, bright and funny young boy. At approximately 7:30 PM, up to 8 masked offenders armed with machetes and long-edged weapons attacked both boys. When Chol's mother arrived, she couldn't find him at first. Then she saw the scene. Both boys lay fatally wounded within meters of each other. His father, Chol Ak, described it. When his mum arrived, she couldn't find him and then she saw the scene. We both came down to find him. That boy, he was really it for me. Good boys like Chol are being killed for nothing. The motive? Anger over a meme. A social media post referencing an earlier gang member's death. The victims had no connection to that incident. They weren't in gangs. They were just two boys in the wrong place at the wrong time. Chol became the youngest casualty of Melbourne's youth gang crisis. The gang behind his murder had also been involved in the machete brawl at Northland Shopping Centre and a string of violent home invasions. The 8 offenders remain on the run. Chol Ak, who migrated from South Sudan in 2008, captured the devastating irony. We came here, from war, for our children to have a better life. Now you regret coming. Children are the root of the tree. Without them, your life is uprooted. Chol's death was the part of a disturbing pattern. More than 20 homicides have been linked to gang violence in Melbourne over the past 5 years, but it's how violence has become gamified that's truly alarming, turned into entertainment and broadcast to thousands online. Youth gangs armed with machetes and zombie killer knives film themselves cruising through enemy territory in stolen cars to catch rival crews. The footage is brutal. Multiple teens swarming victims, machete slashings, stabbings. At least one video of a dead body was posted online. These aren't typical street gangs fighting over drugs or money. Violence revolves around beefs between rival Postcode crews, disputes starting over perceived social media slights, and escalating into deadly confrontations. One investigator called it almost like disorganised crime. Victoria is experiencing its highest youth crime rate since electronic records began in 1993. In 12 months to March 2025, offences by 10 to 17-year-olds rose 18%, over 25,000 charges. While children account for only 13% of all offenders, they commit 63% of robberies and 46% of aggravated burglaries. The weapon statistics are staggering. Police seized approximately 40 blades daily in 2024, over 14,000 edged weapons in a year. Hospital admissions for stab wounds doubled over the past decade. At least one person per day is hospitalised from knife attacks. Understanding this crisis requires understanding the culture among Melbourne's youth gangs. As one 18-year-old explained, if a carload pulls up on you, or you're on the train, they asking where you from, you got to say the exact suburb now, they all want to score points. Victorian police monitor 671 youth gang members across 37 gangs. 60 have been arrested over 10 times in the past year. Gang names and memberships constantly shift, making them volatile and difficult to police. Abraham Quall, a criminology researcher running mentoring programs for teens in gang violence, explains the shift. Usually, you see young people committing crimes for financial gain. Now, each crew is trying to prove they are the most vicious to an audience of thousands online. Social media fundamentally changed how gang violence plays out. If one gang posts footage from another crew's territory, it's a challenge demanding response. Recent drill rap tracks name real people and reference actual stabbings, including taunts about a teen whose fingers were chopped off. As one youth worker noted, it's not drill rap itself, it's the way lyrics are targeted now, the tallying of points. In May 2025, a machete brawl erupted at Northland Shopping Centre. A witness named Ali, in line for sushi, saw a masked teen draw his machete from a sheath. He looked like something out of Mortal Kombat. When Ali intervened and snatched the weapon, the mask fell. They were just kids. I'd thought they were playing a game at first, because they were just kids. That fight started over one gang member looking at someone the wrong way. Part of escalating attacks and paybacks between crews across the state. In 2022, a passing insult overheard at a party saw gang members murder 16-year-old Declan Cutler in Reservoir. He wasn't even in either gang. In May 2023, 16-year-old Pasam Lihim desperately tried to protect himself with a shopping trolley during a brawl at Sunshine train station. He ran, but barely made it 20 metres before a 17-year-old caught him and stabbed him twice in the back. At the sentencing hearing, Supreme Court Judge Michael Croucher wiped away tears describing the destruction on Lihim's family. To lose a loved one so young in such terrifying circumstances is unfathomable. He sentenced the teenager to 13 years, saying, "No good can come from carrying weapons like these. It just has to stop." A coroner's report found knives were linked to 245 homicides between January 2014 and September 2025. 18 children were killed, 29 knife homicides were committed by children. Of children killed, 11 were gang-related, 9 from migrant communities. The report examined 15-year-old Solomon Taufa Ulungaki's death near Brimbank Shopping Centre in June 2020. Solomon wasn't a gang member, he was in his school band and rugby team, a good student who helped others. When confronted by Brotherhood and 97 gang members and accused of being in a rival crew, he was punched, kicked, struck with a baseball bat and stabbed in the chest. His killer received just 2 years for manslaughter. Court analysis shows most teens convicted for gang crimes share similar stories. Formative years marked by family violence or homelessness, no adults looking out for them, or growing up in crowded households, struggling with bills and cultural barriers. Gang members are overwhelmingly Australian born. Almost all are male, though girls appear increasingly as offenders. Coroner Ingrid Giles found gang members more likely experienced family violence, came from fragmented families, and lived in socio-economically disadvantaged communities. Many are among the state's most vulnerable, bounced around refugees and foster care, searching for belonging. But a new phenomenon emerged in the past 5 years. Teens from stable, middle-class households swept up in online infamy. Unlike disadvantaged kids, they're more likely to get support to leave faster. A government source recalled watching one prolific burglar win bail as wealthy parents spoke for him. But for other kids, mum doesn't even show, said a youth worker. No one shows. Over half of Victoria's young gang violence occurs in Melbourne's northwest, with 350 gang members operating there. Many come from migrant communities, motivated by protection from abusive families, bullies, and seeking connection. Navin Dillon, running crime prevention programs, explains, "The problem isn't that more teens suddenly started committing crimes. Those who do are escalating faster. Teens with clean records suddenly get arrested for stabbings. While youth incarceration is historically low, 40% of detained young people are there for murder and manslaughter. Youth workers describe soft expulsions, where difficult teens aren't formally moved on, so nobody checks if they attend a class. They end up congregating with peers, sometimes abusing drugs, at shopping centres," says Cole. "Weapons are readily accessible, taken from kitchens, supermarkets, or ordered online. Large machetes come to your front door wrapped up. All you need is a credit card," one youth worker explained. "Kids carry knives for protection because everyone else carries them. A lot of these kids are scared, anxious. says Dylan. They can't vocalise their insecurities, but with a big scary machete, suddenly you don't have to be the biggest kid around. Victoria Police launched Operation Alliance in late 2020, actively monitoring gang members, staking out their hangouts, checking bail compliance. In the past year, they've arrested 494 gang members, 1,657 times combined. Police say gangs have shrunk by 76 members since Operation Alliance launched, and they're removing record numbers of illegal blades. But despite increased arrests, overall crime rates haven't fallen. Police recorded 75,968 arrests, 208 per day. The political response focused on tougher laws. In March 2025, the government introduced sweeping bail reforms. Courts now prioritise community safety over remand as a last resort for young people. New offences were created for committing crimes while on bail. Police Minister Anthony Carbines said these changes resulted in 100% more youth offenders remanded and 31% more adults remanded. That's hundreds of people who would otherwise be in the community committing offences. After the Northland Brawl, Victoria fast-tracked machete bans. The full ban took effect September 2025, classifying long knives as prohibited weapons. The government also added jail time for offenders filming and posting crimes on social media. Chief Commissioner Mike Bush backed calls for tougher punishments. After the Cobblebank murders, Detective Inspector Graham Banks said existing penalties didn't reflect community expectations. Bush sent officers an internal memo. There must be consequences for those who commit these crimes, which drive fear in our community. There's a potential roadmap for change. Scotland transformed from Western Europe's homicide capital to having no under-18s in jail. In early 2000 Scotland, over 177 youth gangs with 3,500 members operated across Glasgow, with sometimes 3 or 4 murders every weekend. Karen McCluskey, founder of the Scottish Violence Reduction Unit, explains, "We didn't just fill the jails. That's not what prevents crime. You have to be smarter, and we did a public health approach." In one intervention, Glasgow police gathered over 100 gang members in a courtroom. Surgeons described stab wound trauma. A mother spoke about losing her son to gang violence. Police offered a choice: aggressive enforcement or engage in change. The vast majority raised their hands to change. We were overwhelmed. People said, "I've had enough of this. I want something different." Homicide rates declined almost immediately, from 137 homicides yearly in the early 2000s to 57 now. Will Linden, current deputy head of the unit, says they thought it would take a generation. It didn't. It took a few years as services changed, as policing changed, as the message got out. McCluskey emphasises that if Victoria adopted this, it needs support across politics and from the public. You can't just have problem admirers wringing their hands and clutching their pearls. You actually need to get to the solutions. The current approach, aggressive policing and tougher sentencing, addresses symptoms, not causes. Abraham Kuehl warns, "This is escalating. Every week we're seeing another death. It's a public health crisis." Root causes need addressing before gang violence becomes generational. These are Australia's lost boys, young men seeking opportunity, identity and belonging. Once indoctrinated, many disengage from families, schools and sports. Their gang loyalty transcends everything. But Kuehl remains cautiously optimistic. It's really hard to reach these kids, but there are ways. Mentoring by peers who turned their lives around shows promise. Some leave after gang betrayals. Others get wake-up calls in adult prisons. Youth workers advocate for early intervention, family counselling, aspiration programs, entrepreneurship. These kids need hope, legal income pathways, school engagement and opportunities. The question Victoria faces: will we keep pouring hundreds of millions into prisons while cutting proven prevention programs? Or follow Scotland's example and treat this as the public health crisis it is? Let me know what you think of this video down below in the comments. And if you're from Victoria, let me know how you feel about this topic and have you noticed a change in your city? As always, if you want more stories from the Australian underworld, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Till next time, take care.